Oh my gosh, this is incredible. I graduated, I got my degree, I'm ready to get my 9-to-5 job, make $50,000 a year. I'm a couple $100,000 in debt. I really hope it was worth it. Maybe if it wasn't, is it even a good job economy? Like, did I make the right choice?
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Well, that is the question of the day. Is college still worth it? I mean, if you think about it, it's an investment, right? I mean, you paid this money for this career training. Was it worthwhile? And we're going to talk about that today because some of the statistics have started shifting dramatically. And even me, who has kids now, I am telling them something a little bit different than my parents taught me about college.
You two sons of bitches are going to college.
Man, I got to tell you that when I went to college, there was so much pressure to get a degree. I literally met my college sweetheart on the third day of class, and I felt a little bit behind because I had spent 2 years of my life doing a Christian mission in Germany. So when I got back, like my buddies already had their associates, and I'm like, I am so behind, I got to get going. And I didn't know I was going to meet the woman of my dreams. And that meant that a year later, we had already gotten married. And the family that I married into included a really wonderful mother-in-law, truly. And there was all this pressure because she saw my entrepreneurial nature. She saw me investing in real estate. She saw me starting business. And she made it clear in no uncertain terms that if I didn't get a degree, I was never going to live it down. So I got my degree. So she didn't kill me. But I had a younger brother at the time who defied my family side of things. And after a year in college, he dropped out. And he totally embraces entrepreneurial roots. And he pursued that goal. And within a few short years, he was making 6 figures. And then after that, went on to make millions of dollars. And it's interesting. There's a part of me that is proud that I got a degree. And there's a part of me that also knows that I did that out of pressure, some of which for the wrong reason. I don't think you should ever regret receiving higher education, but the truth is I was pursuing career training. And sometimes we say that, well, college is a higher education and this is for people that want to be smarter and be more successful. And I just want to ask, is that really what the statistics are really saying? Is college in fact for everyone? Or maybe there was some truth to the fact that I was a little jealous that my little brother dropped out and he got an even earlier head start to greater financial results in life, because he got really clear on whether college was or was not for him. Well, let's take a look at the stats. We've got Education Data Initiative that says we are at a 10-year low on enrollment, which means that we've been tracking college, and for literally generations it's been college. In the last decade, there's been a downturn, there's been a shift. Registration is down. In 2010, college undergraduate enrollment peaked at 21 million. In 2021, enrollment totaled 19.6 million nationwide. That is a steady 6.6% decline since 2010. And we might say, well, come on, Kris, I mean, that pandemic thing that went on probably had a little bit to do with it. And you know what? It probably did, but more than anything, I think it's caused people to reflect on priorities and question if in this new world that we've stepped into, if the old ways matter as much. And then it doesn't help that we have US News reporting that tuition just continues to increase. In red, you see private tuition, and boom, it is on the rise. Out-of-state tuition, again, it's on the rise year over year, decade after decade. In-state, same thing. So in the last 20 years, college has gone up 300%. Remember, inflation in that same period of time has only gone up 60%. So it's been outpacing inflation 5-1. Why is that? And do you understand that college is a money-making business, just like a hospital? We don't think about it this way. We're like, well, that's a civic service thing, right? I'm like, no, insurance companies, hospitals, these are businesses. Cities are also businesses. And we've been telling everyone that you have to get a college degree if you really want to do something meaningful with your life. Some of the stats support that, but for some of us, it doesn't. It's one thing to start your college education, but what about all the people that don't finish it? Check this out. In 4-year colleges in the United States, 56% of students drop out within 6 years. 38% of college dropouts, the largest majority, said that they left due to financial pressure. In other words, there's a lot of financial pressure why people drop out. They're like, geez, Why am I spending 4 or 5 or 6 years of my life in college when I could get a job right now? Because I'm going into debt. I'm going in the opposite direction. There are many out-of-state colleges that are charging $50,000 a year on tuition. And when you take, student housing and food and everything into account, you could literally exit college $250,000 in debt. But honestly, on top of that, I'm just trying to figure out why 56% of students are dropping out within 6 years. I wonder if maybe it has to do with the fact that they haven't finished their 4-year degree still after 6 years. It's a little bit of a problem. The guy holding this camera, it took him 6 years to get through college. The director over there took him 5. I got out in 3.5 years. I was like, man, I can't. My mother-in-law is breathing over my back like a gorilla that I can't shake. So here's what's kind of interesting. Students still see the value of going to college, but families are seeing it a little bit less, according to Sallie Mae Government Institution. While about 81% of college-bound juniors and seniors still see college as a worthwhile investment, only 42% of families feel confident about covering the cost, according to that report by Sallie Mae. And so think about it this way. What really is college, right? It is an investment. Look at this money right here. Let's just say that this is how much I'm willing to go into debt for my education. Understand that what you're really paying for, however, is career training. Like you're literally paying money to say that I'm certified to go into this type of career so that I can hopefully make more money, because historically, up until recently, people pretty much know if I go to college and I go into debt, I should be able to get a better paying job. And yet, guess what? We've got entrepreneurs that aren't going to college that on average are making more money than college graduates. You do have people that, completed high school that are earning less than college graduates. So one of the questions I think that's going to face this next generation is, when does it make sense to go to college and when doesn't it? So my daughter is 16 years old. She just got her driver's license and we're starting to have this conversation about college. And behind closed doors, my wife and I are saying, okay, it's good for our daughter to, be able to get into college. Let's prepare her for that. Let's make sure that that's something she could suitably do. But also behind those closed doors, we're having a different kind of conversation. And I'm going to reveal my real feelings on the matter. I think that it's a lot to ask an 18-year-old to figure out what they want to do for the rest of their life. And if you actually take a look at people's job practices and how often they're now changing jobs, it's becoming more and more apparent that people don't have this stick-to-itness on 40 years on something they went to college for. People will sometimes get a degree, try something for a few short years, and then they'll hop and try something kind of different. So I think I've personally concluded that it's important for 18-year-olds that think that they're now technically adults. As a parent, I don't think that you're an adult yet. I think that you need to go through your next phase of development where 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, early 20s, that's a great time for discovery. That's a great time to go to college and take some generals. That's a great time to be in a new social setting. That's a time to live without mom and dad. That's a time to just start figuring out what kind of person that you want to be. And I think for me, I'm more interested in my child having a college experience so that they can have a social experience, so that they can get some generals, so that they can do some learning and growing. But is that even right then and there the time for them to figure out their career? Well, turns out there are some kids that know exactly what they want, right? It's like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Good, you got to go to college if you want to do and be those things. But there's more and more work from home careers, entrepreneurial options, or other things where you could go to college, but do you actually really need it to pursue your passion or something that you like? It's becoming less and less true for companies like mine that hired 100 people last year that we're now saying, oh, you have to have a college degree. What do I care more about? Can you hit the objectives of your job? Do you have a passion for this? Are you going to fit into the culture? Look at millennials today. They value flexibility. In our company, we're all about flexibility, work from home, just having a freer lifestyle, more mobility. And when we're in that interview, we're not asking, well, tell me about your college experience and tell me about your education. It's more, listen, can you do this job? Can you learn well? And are you going to fit into this culture? And are you going to add to the culture? Are you going to make it a better environment, a more fun environment? And my company is not one of a kind. This is true for a lot of other companies. I personally would not be surprised over the next decade if we saw a continuing trend where companies became more and more open to employing the right kind of people without using college as a requirement for someone to actually be able to get a job in that particular field. And so college is going to be really right for some people, and frankly, it's not going to be that right for others. Well, the pandemic has been revealing some different priorities. Over 100 colleges were sued for tuition refunds when classes moved to Zoom. Yet if colleges still delivered on education and graduation, this indicates that Americans are less interested in the educational aspects of college. They're more interested in what I was just talking about. It's the college experience. In other words, is there an atmosphere for partying or for sports or for grades or for doing some other things? Because again, I think this is a very important part of a child's development. No, I don't think that you have to be enrolled in college to still get this type of education that's out there. It makes it even more dicey. But if I read the tea leaves right, we're going to see a shift away from college over the next 2 generations. And that means that in the end, college will be for people that know that they want to pursue a very specific course of action. And I think that we're going to see other alternatives crop up because look at the self-education we live in today. What are you doing? It's called YouTube University.
Yo, what up, YouTube? Marky Monroe here.
As in, like, go ahead and self-educate. When I grew up, it was like, you have to memorize and know this crap. You have to know how to do, the quadratic equation. Today, it's like, no, I just have to have access to a computer that can do the quadratic. Why would I ever want to learn how to do that geometry? This thing will spit out an answer for me, which means that today's education is about accessing knowledge and leveraging it rather than memorizing stuff. So my wife and I were in Illinois a couple weeks ago. We were visiting with family. She's got a brother that lives there. And as our kids and their kids were hanging out, we started getting a little bit into this debate about academia because he is a professor. He's earned his PhD in business. I, on the other hand, I own businesses. And what's interesting is that he hangs out with a bunch of people that they're all about that academia. It's like, well, you have to, get a college degree if you want to go anywhere because that's what his profession says. I'm the entrepreneur who's like, you don't need college to be successful in life. And that's also not true for many people. We really represent these outliers, which is why I think it's important for you to understand that if you like my channel, if you watch me on social, it might mean that you have an entrepreneurial spirit. And if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, you're less about conforming to society standards. You're more interested in creating your own rules. You might be more interested in creating a life that you want and not having someone else tell you exactly how to live it or even where to live. And if that's true, then you're definitely in the right place. There's nothing wrong with college and education. You can leverage those things for good. Like one of my game plans I always tell people is you got to land a good job. If college helps you land a good job, save good money, but then take the next step. You have to get a financial education, not just an academic education, not just I got career training to work for somebody else. I got to get a financial education so I can take the money that's left over after I cover my bills and I can do something more intelligent than a 401k or IRA. I can learn how to invest it because that education is the greatest oversight of all generations. The wealthy get a financial education, and as a result, it takes them further than anyone else. Meanwhile, the rest of people, they're just getting training on how to be a cog in someone else's machine. Machines that are owned by the wealthy. So make no mistake, you need 2 educations. You do need some career training at some point with or without college so that you can get a job and earn money. But that money is meant to be saved as much as possible for your second education, which is learning how to be wealthy so that your money can work for you instead of you just working for it. Well, it's the question of the day. Is college worth it? Pros and cons. Pros, you get a higher average median salary. You should technically make more money than someone that doesn't have college. That does exclude entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs on average make more than college grads. Then you get the college experience, right? So you're gonna get some life experience. You're gonna get some social experience. You're gonna take, dance 101. You get to, dance with people and whatnot. There's a lot of management jobs that are out there that are gonna look for or sometimes even require college experience. And management, you're now managing people versus doing artistic work, which is actually fulfilling on what a company is offering or selling. And sometimes college is required for that. And college is a great place where you can start building a strong network. However, there are some disadvantages. 56% probability of dropping out, that's more than half. That means that you went into debt and you gave college a lot of money, you got some training. Will that investment really give you a payoff if you don't complete your degree? I don't know. On average, your loan debt's going to be about $36,000. That is a low number. It can range significantly higher, what I've seen from other sources. And then there's the opportunity cost of not working. It's like, well, I gave 5 years of my life because 5 years is on average how long it takes Weber for someone to get their degree. It's not 6. So 5 is more of an average. And so you're like, well, what could I have done during those 5 years? Could I have done something else with my time? Could I have done something more productive? It's a question mark. Then you have, does it guarantee you a good job? And this has been one of the hardest things for me to observe is a lot of disappointed kids that get out of college and they're like, okay, someone sold me on this beautiful dream that if I would get this piece of paper that says I'm smart doing these things, that I would get a great job. And sometimes those jobs aren't there. More importantly, we are in an age of transition, which means the thing that you went to college for, you may have AI doing that job in just a couple years from now. Is there a really strong likelihood that that job's going to hold up for the next 40 years? Well, if you're a doctor, people are going to keep getting sick. But many of these other jobs, the world is innovating and shifting and changing with technology so fast that college, honestly, can it really keep up with what you want to do for the next 40 years? I think in most situations, the answer is no. One thing from today's video should be indisputable. Whether you do get career training or not, in or outside of college, what you do need to get, no matter what, this is a requirement, you got to get yourself some financial training. And right now, in all the financial books that I've read that have helped me become financially the man I am with the results that I have, I've seen some huge gaps in our new economy. And I decided to write a book about those gaps. The book is called Have It All. It literally is hot off the press. It finally is here. It's a roadmap for becoming a self-made millionaire. It says that there are 5 things that you should invest in, not 401ks or IRAs. Instead, I'm going to teach you the things that wealthy people invest in, and this allows them to become financially free in often just 5 or 10 years. So ultimately, where a college degree may not hold up for 40 years, but may end up being an archaic piece of really good learning once upon a time that wasn't useful down the road, this has the power to create some true financial deliverance, because more money equals one thing, not more problems. More options. If you want more options in life, if you want to live with that greater flexibility, mobility, if you want to do more of what your hopes and dreams really cry out for, then listen, you need to be a subscriber on this channel, and the link below, I'm giving you a copy of this book for free. I had to wait 6 months to get just 10,000 copies. I've already ordered my next batch, and I've committed to give all 10,000 copies away for free. So if you click the link, you will have to cover the shipping, but everything else, this entire book, the knowledge in this book, it's also on audible.com, spent 3 days recording it. This book is designed to show you how to start with nothing and be financially free in just a matter of years. So if that's the financial training that you know you need, get this book right now. When the pandemic hit, I had a buddy who was about to lose his 6-figure job. He was afraid he was, so he said, Kris, I'm desperate and I have to do something. I have no idea how I'm going to replace a 6-figure income, especially if I can't get a job out there. And I said, you know what? Give me 30 days, follow all of this advice, and let's see if in just 1 month you can replace your entire income. And you know what? If you want to see what happened, click this link, watch my buddy Trent on his journey to see if he could replace his job in just 30 days by doing something on his own. So I was in Illinois a couple weeks ago, and my family was hanging out with my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, and they've got 5 kids. That didn't matter. We tried again.